having stuff to do. We're not. She lived here for something like
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Alexandra Campbell. I'm the Executive Director of the Reston Historic Trust and Museum. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you've never been, the Reston Museum is just around the corner here at Lake Ann Plaza, so come visit us. Besides hosting programs such as the one we're doing tonight, the museum preserves over 3,000 artifacts of Reston's history. We also host the Lake Ann Carver Boat Regatta, the Reston Home Tour, and Founders Day, which is just around the corner. It's going to be April 18th this year, and we have a new addition to the Founders Day program. We're going to be doing a Founders Day float parade on wagons, and so we encourage you all to participate. It's free, but we are asking people to register. So if you're interested, you can do that on our website, or I have forms, so come talk to me after tonight's program. Tonight we have a wonderful panel discussion for you all today. Reston is so lucky to have so many different community organizations who do so much for us. And so all the organizations represented here today have been in Reston for over 40 years, some of them over 50 years, and we're going to be discussing how they've engaged and impacted the community here. Finally, I want to thank Reston Community Center for letting us use their space tonight. And now I'm going to turn it over to our board member and moderator for this evening, Lisa.
Thank you everyone for, can you hear me? I don't know loud voice. Can you hear me like this? I'll use the mic or a little bit of both. Thank you all for coming out tonight. This is going to be a really exciting panel discussion and conversation. And like we were saying tonight, I was going to say, Reston is, we all know it's a fantastic place to live, work, play, and all the above. But sometimes people forget who the treasures are in our community. It's all of us. But bringing together this panel of phenomenal women that represent all these different organizations that have been in Reston from the beginning. It's important to know. Sometimes people just don't know, so we thought during Women's History Month, we would, what a great time to have people together. And so we have some set questions, but I want to let you know they're not definite. So if you want to expand on your answers, please do that, because we know you're the experts regarding your organizations. And so I just have a few questions here, but I want you to let it be a free flow, and we will have some time. I think we're being engaging, so it does have to be questions to the end, but I will try and moderate the time and make sure we get everyone back home. So, but before we go, I'd like to introduce our panel members. We have Jolene, is it Batiste from, is that correct? Okay. So Reston community players. And Kathy Tunis, and she is from the Reston Garden Club. Very familiar. I was a member a while back. Katie Shaw from the Walker Nature Center. Katie Nature Lady. That's her name. Yeah, there's a song there too. We're not going to make a song to Katie. And then from Reston Chorale, we have Ruth Ann, is it Pinkman? Pinkman, I'm sorry, Pinkman. And then also we have from, let's see, Cornerstones. Cornerstones? Sarah, wait, I'm going to hold you to in here for a second, okay? Because they could get anything. Mary Saunders is here from Herndon-Reston Fish. Okay, and then Sarah, not that you're most important, but Sarah Leonard is from Cornerstones, and she's the immediate past board chairperson, and she's also in charge of the 50th anniversary task force for Cornerstones. Cornerstones has been in Reston and operating doing phenomenal things for over 50 years. Okay, so let's give a hand to our team members. Hold on a second. Oh, no, that was a mistake on my part. I was getting excited to start the program. Lila Gordon is the Reston Community's executive director. She knows a lot about Reston, kind of grew up in and about Reston, and if you know RCC, you know who Lila is, so that was my mistake. I apologize for that. So we'll make sure we get you some good questions tonight, Lila. There's no direct order, and I think as the questions go, we'll come to flow, but there's a few key questions I want to make sure we get to tonight, but I know very often with questions, the way we formatted these, we'll expand on the answers, okay? So the first one is, what is the organization you're representing today, and what was your role in it? Okay, I know that seems broad, but some people don't really know what some of the organizations do. So what is your organization that you're representing, and what is your role in it? And we'll start down with you.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Is this? Yeah, you can hear me, I can tell. So again, Ruth Ann Pinkman from the Reston Chorale, and I am currently our board president. So the Reston Chorale is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've been around for this is our 53rd season. And we'll talk a little bit more. I think Lisa has some questions about milestones and things. We'll talk about that later. We do have a volunteer, we're governed by a volunteer board, and we're very much dependent on money from people in the community, as our other organizations. We are an auditioned mixed voice chorus, and we have about 80 singers. And so that's where we are right now. And we really try to foster young musicians, whether it's bringing young singers in. We have commissioned some works that have been written for us to perform. And hey, Beverly. And so anyway, so we try to really encourage all sorts of participation, singers, young people, older people, and as well as people to, as I said, compose some music for us. Bob Simon, interestingly, a little tidbit, Bob Simon was a founding member of the Reston Chorale, and he remained very, very supportive of the chorale throughout his life, and we were very grateful for that, and also to Cheryl for her continued support. We do a full repertoire from the classics, oratorios, to pops, and we did even a rock concert a couple of years ago. This past Sunday, we performed Mendelssohn's Elijah, which, if you know, that's a pretty rigorous piece of music. So we expanded. We had some guests from the Encore. Some of you might be familiar with the Encore Chorale. We had members from there and from other organizations join us to expand our ranks so we could pull that off. So that's a little bit about who we are.
Good evening. I'm Katie Shaw. I'm the manager of the Walker Nature Center, as Lisa described. And the Walker Nature Center is a beautiful 72-acre park. It's located off of Glade Drive in South Reston. There's over a mile of wonderful loop trails that go between two streams, Snake Den Branch and the Glade. Snake Den Branch feeds into our wonderful 44-acre Lake Audubon, which you can walk to from our property. It's a really nice little destination hike. And we do year-round environmental education programs, and they're for all ages. We start as young as 18 months. Those are our babes in the woods. And then we work up through children's programming, do an awful lot of school field trips, especially with our local elementary schools, many of which can walk to our center. And we do adult programming as well through senior programming. We just did a program in partnership with OLLI, the Lifelong Learning Institute. So we really cross the whole age range, and I like to encourage everybody to come and touch base with us at different points of their life, because we do have, children who will remember that field trip when they came and they saw a frog. But then we have young teens who've worked for us, with our summer camps, and it made such a difference in their life. We have kids that grow up and come back to Reston. They don't think they will, but we do, don't we? We come back to Reston and we're looking for jobs and our adulthood, and it's nice to just reconnect and feel like you're home again. And then I have a lot of empty nesters too that come around, and I really encourage people, don't meet me in the grocery store line and say, oh, I love the Nature Center. I used to go there when my kids were small. Come now, because it's a great way to pick up new passions when you're older in life. And we like to close that whole age cycle and see you as individuals and also with your families. You can come out with the whole family and find wonderful things to do at the Nature Center. And our education building is known as Nature House. So we're also a model of eco-friendly design and construction. If you're into architecture and green buildings, make sure you come out and check out Nature House and visit our trails. We never wanted to be so dependent on a building that people forgot to go outside. We all need to do that, and we're learning how healthful it is to have that experience in our lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Joan Batiste. I'm the current president for the board of directors at Reston Community Players. We have been around also for since 1966. We're on our third season as well. We're community theater, so we are an all-volunteer organization. We vary in numbers of volunteers depending on the show. People come back and always help us out, whether it's set building, acting, anything from doing stuff on the production staffs, directing, producing. We're part of a larger organization called WATCH, the Washington Area Theater Community Honors. So we're involved in that organization as well. But we perform 4 shows every year. Typically we do 2 musicals and 2 plays. This coming season we're actually stepping out of that model, trying something new, and we're going to do 3 musicals and 1 play. So we're going to try that out and see how that goes. We perform at Reston Community Center, so they're wonderful collaborators. We couldn't do it without them. Wonderful space at the center stage there. So hopefully some of you have seen some of our productions. We're currently performing The Diary of Anne Frank. So please come out and see that. It's got great reviews. It's a really prescient story right now too. So we really welcome volunteers, so we're always looking for help. We too rely on the kindness of people's hearts to help us out. But we really want to bring that professional quality theater, have that in your own backyard. We really set ourselves to highest standard as possible. So if you really don't feel like trekking out to DC to the Kennedy Center, you can come see us. So thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Kathy Tunis, and I'm from the Reston Garden Club. The Reston Garden Club is also celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. We founded in 1970, and when we first moved here in the late 70s, I happened to have the good fortune to be living next to Vern and Elfrida Walker. So Elfrida, as soon as she saw me out in the garden, said, "You need to come to the garden club meetings." And I sort of blanched, but she said, "You'll find that we're the dig in the dirt kind of people. We're not the kind of the white gloves and the hats, so not to worry." And so I did, and I've actually been associated with the garden club ever since in one way or another. I was president early on, but then I went back to work for about 20 years and came back to the club, which is what we're finding a lot of people are doing. Members who were around in the 70s and 80s and who still live in the area are now coming back as members again. So we form lifelong friendships. But our goal is to make people concerned about their home garden, to practice better horticulture, to protect the environment, the conservation of native plants and wildlife, and other things like flower arranging and generally civic beautification. So we've done a lot of things in the community, which I can talk about later. But I think serving as the chair of the 50th anniversary committee is my role this year. So that's going to be fun.
It's on. I know it's okay. Good. I'm Mary Saunders, and I'm the new Executive Director of Herndon-Reston Fish. Fish is in its 51st year, or as we are saying this year, 2020, a clear vision for our next 50 years. We are a 501c3 non-sectarian organization, and our mission is to provide financial assistance, emergency financial assistance for people in temporary crises. So we respond to rent, utility, medical prescriptions, and other crises. Sometimes it might be someone who is suffering from domestic abuse, and we're providing transportation to get them out of the area. So that's an example. Or it might be they need emergency dental work. We too rely on the funding of the kindness of our community and volunteers. We have about 25 volunteers right now for the emergency assistance. We would like to have 30, one for each day of the month. For the Bargain Loft, which is a program of ours that started in 1981, we have hundreds of volunteers, and they take shifts. The day is divided up into 2 shifts, and we run from Monday through Saturday. And with Habitat for Humanity coming into the same little light industrial park, we changed our hours, so we're now open until 5, which has really increased the traffic. There are other things I could certainly talk to, but I think they're coming up later on in the program.
Hi, my name is Sarah Leonard, and as Lisa mentioned, I'm on the board of directors of Cornerstones, and was the chair. I'm the immediate past chair, and I am the chair of the 50th task force. Cornerstones was founded in 1970 as Reston Interfaith Housing Corporation. The focus in the early years was on housing to help realize Bob Simon's vision that everyone who lives and works in this community can find available, affordable housing. Over the 50 years, we've grown a lot as our mission has become to serve the needs of all of the vulnerable, the poor and working poor in our community. And we have these 3 buckets that we call stability, empowerment, and hope. Stability is helping people get out of crisis. Empowerment is then giving them the help they need, the services they need to stay stable. And hope is helping them create a vision for themselves of the future. And that's through things like English as a second language and job training and all those good things. But the core of our mission is stable housing. I'm sure much more will come up later on, so I'll pass it on to Lila.
Thank you. It's really cool to follow these fabulous ladies and the organizations they represent, because Reston Community Center has really profound connections to all of these organizations. We've been in existence in bricks and mortar since 1979, so we're in our 41st year. But this community really started planning the Reston Community Center back in the early 70s, and it took a group of, as it always does in Reston, committed and creative people to generate the kind of community center that would reflect Reston, its ideals, its embrace of the arts in particular, and house its creative energy for the kinds of groups and organizations that are here at this table. So we've hosted the Chorale, we've hosted the Players, we've certainly been neighbors for a long stretch of time with Cornerstones when it was at Hunters Woods and operated Laurel Learning Center there. My child went to Laurel Learning Center, and yeah, it's a fabulous way for people of limited means to get high quality child care services. Outstanding. The Garden Club met at Reston Community Center in its early years, and we appreciate the lovely gesture of the Garden Club's beautification of our facilities, both these facilities every year during the holidays. They very generously provide us beautiful arrangements that make the community happy. And obviously, friendly and instant sympathetic help is a cause near and dear to all of us. So we are very proud to be sponsors of FISH and all the good work that that organization does. We're all about building community and enriching people's lives, and we are excited to be doing that just as much today as we were at the beginning. So we're happy to host all of you and happy to be part of this evening.
I love it, I love it. So I'm going to switch around a little bit, but I think everything you said kind of is moving to this next question. You've been, each of your organizations, been here 50 plus years in Reston. As we know, some things come and go. Can you maybe share with the group, what were some of the things, what are some things you see in your organization that gives it its staying power? What's contributed to you still being vibrant and working here in the Reston area?
Where do you want to start?
Whoever wants to take it.
Well, we have staying power, I think, because we are a reflection of the community, and it's where people gather. We create opportunities for people to get together. We celebrate what this community is all about. It's diversity, the arts, certainly empowering and enriching the lives of young people, all the way through to the oldest among us. Our facilities host baby showers, birthday parties, weddings, and funerals. And we really have seen, the whole panoply of people's lives and many cultures. We have so many different cultural and ethnically specific celebrations in both of these facilities, Hunters Woods and Lake Ann. And people who come through the facilities get a feel for that and for the richness of this community's diversity. So I really think that as long as human beings like to get together and like to do things and like to organize themselves, will always be a vehicle for that.
One thing I failed to mention when we passed on before, Carrie Wilson is the executive director, the CEO of Cornerstones, and many of you know her well. She can't be with us here tonight because she's at a county meeting on housing. So and that, like I mentioned, is the core of our mission. And the staying power for Cornerstones, we are probably the leading human services provider in Reston. There will always be those in crisis and in need, and in fact, as our community grows, the need is growing. And just in 2019, Cornerstones helped over 16,000 individuals, including nearly 4,000 families with 5,000 children. And that's a lot of people in Reston that they've helped through programs, helping them with housing, helping them with child care, helping them with a whole series of wraparound services to make sure that they become stable.
So, friendly, instant, sympathetic help, thanks Layla, otherwise known as FISH. I think what keeps us going is that Reston is such a diverse and inclusive community, and that's one of the things that we focus on, that no one should be without. And whereas Cornerstones does what they do, we work in partnership. We're kind of the 911. We get referrals from Cornerstones for those people who need help now with rent or utilities, so on and so forth. Both of us are part of a group called Connections for Hope Partnership, which is a group of 8, and I believe there's a 9th organization that's going to join us, all of us doing some aspect of helping those people who are in need in our community. And it just goes back to the beginnings of Reston, which was Bob Simon's hope, to be inclusive and to be diverse. And fortunately, the community continues that to today.
So for the Reston Garden Club, I think, and for any organization, obviously, you have to have a clear purpose and reason for existence. And it's changed over the years for the Garden Club. In the early years, everyone was anxious to beautify Reston, and the members planted hundreds of daylilies and daffodil bulbs on every intersection. and many times in the median strip at great danger to our lives. But I think that kind of activity, and also we were planning in schools and community center and any public facility. But since then, I think landscaping practices have gotten better amongst commercial establishments and public institutions, so people tend to have their own landscaping. They've hired somebody to do it. So now the club is more involved in community service kinds of things where we're helping children learn to garden, or we're making arrangements for some of the organizations at Christmas time, or we're having the great speakers at our monthly meetings that educate the community, and those meetings are open to the public. We work closely with the Nature Center, so we've done a lot of things with them, and especially with Reston Association in general. So the wildflower trail that we maintain off of Soapstone is a cooperative venture with Reston staff. So although the members of the club get out there and replenish the wild plants and help clean up, we have some staff from RA with the wheelbarrows and pulling the mulch. So we're getting help from some strong bodies there. And so we also, for our 50th anniversary, have plans to make a garden at the lake house along the lakeside. And there will be a commemorative bench there, and also we're providing plants. The club members will go and help position them. It's a native plant garden. But then we'll also have some RA bodies there to dig the holes. So, because our membership has gotten older, and we can talk about that later as one of the changing things, I think, in all organizations, volunteer organizations, the people with the time are the people who are retired. So we've had to change our focus a little bit, but we still get out there and dig.
So I think one thing that keeps us going is our volunteers. Obviously, we really have an inclusive environment, and we become a family, especially when we're working on different productions or even productions throughout the year. I've had several people come to me and say, you know, I was looking for something to do, a hobby, something to do, and I came here, and you guys were so welcoming and offered me a place where I could come and feel like I belonged. And so I think that's one thing. We really try to stay inclusive and listen to all our volunteers and include everybody in what they want to do, what they want to work on. We also help with mentoring young people. We offer 2 scholarships every year for graduating seniors in Fairfax County who are going to go and study either technical arts or performing arts. And so I think keeping that alive as well, you know, the young people learning about theater and growing and wanting to perform and be those storytellers or future storytellers. And I think just really keeping that quality, you know, we really expect a lot of ourselves and trying to keep the quality to what you all expect us to perform as well. And, you know, telling stories that, you know, touch the heart, that make you connect to other people, to the community. We try to create that community. Even telling stories that maybe make people think and make people think about what's going on in the world right now, you know, difficult messages. So, you know, maybe pushing the boundaries a little bit and making people think outside of Reston. And but we also bring people from outside of Reston to Reston, so bringing awareness to this great city, this awesome community. People are always really excited to come and see what this area offers, and so I think that's really exciting as well.
So as long as there's been a Reston, there's been a Reston Nature Center. Many of you are here in the room know even long before it was dedicated to Vernon J. Walker, a.k.a. Vern. It was the Reston Nature Center because our founder, Bob Simon, had the vision to put into his master plan that there should be a dedicated nature center for this community and be ours, not some other organizations, not some county, not some municipalities, but the people's nature center. And we've had many generations now of people grow up here in Reston, and that legacy has continued from 1960s. The very first plan in '64 said, we need to have land, you need to have program, and you need to have a building to be a whole nature center. And Vern was hired in 1967 to lead the way and the charge, and he certainly made huge contributions and touched a lot of lives and inspired a lot of people to carry that torch, that environmental legacy from generation to generation to generation. And it's been said that living in Reston is like living in a park. And I really see that day in and day out. We don't have to go take an exotic vacation somewhere. We like to sometimes, but we don't have to find nature and to be close to the magnificence of nature. We don't have to get in our car. We can walk outside of our house or our apartment. We can go outside of our school, and it's there for us to interact with. And I'll take a deep dive on this, but if you read from the Greats of Conservation, they talk about the land ethic, Aldo Leopold and John Muir, the land, the land, the land. And the land to this day is a powerful thing. And the land ethic is all about people caring for the land, and that's everything that lives on it, the flora, the fauna. And then that land is what builds a bridge between the people. And all cultures, all places that have a strong land ethic experience what helps us thrive even in 2020 as the Walker Nature Center. So it's exciting, to be a part of that, and it goes deep within you because you know you have that connection when you go out there, and it helps you find that joy or that peace or that excitement or that feeling of home. And that's what nature can provide. And there's books written about bringing nature home and finding nature close to you. And when you do that, it's extremely rewarding. And it makes you want more, and it makes you want to nourish it and protect it and feel its love and its graces come back to you.
I don't think I should try to follow you.
Smart move.
Can you ask another question? No. So obviously Katie's passionate about that, and I think everyone up here is passionate about the different things that we are representing, which is one of the really wonderful things about Reston, and I think that's already been kind of touched on. There's a common theme here, and I think several of us have talked, several others have already talked about how when Bob Simon envisioned this thing, this area, this new town, that there was something, specific thing he wanted to accomplish, and as it relates to arts, he wanted to have a wide variety of cultural and recreational opportunities available right here. And specifically, the arts were to be an integral part of this new town. And so I think that the Reston Chorale, certainly among others, meets that definition. And I think if you think about that, then how have we survived, or what was the key to our longevity? I think part of it is really just a desire to continue living up to that goal, and because a lot of us believe in that same goal. Specifically though, when we think about what are we doing that's keeping us around, if we think about our audience, kind of similar to what Jolene mentioned, we've stepped it up. We're providing quality musical opportunities for people who might not otherwise have an opportunity to see it. They don't have to go to DC, they don't have to go anywhere. Really, they can stay right here and see quality music or hear quality music. So from an external or audience perspective, it's providing something of value to them. But similarly, internally, so when we think about the singers, we also have needs. And I would suspect that the players, you have similar kinds of experiences. So as singers, we want to be challenged. We want to have fun, but we also want to be challenged. We want to learn something new. And so the opportunity to do a variety of musical types, we don't all like, I see Andy back there nodding his head, so it's not, I don't like every single type of music that we do. We do 4 concerts a year, but I learned something from each one. And so that's what we talk about within the chorale. We also are a community and a family. We've had many instances over the years, as you can imagine. People have needed something. Someone in our chorale family has had a tragedy or something going on in their lives. And we really, it might sound sort of hokey, but it's true. We really are there for each other. And it's also just a social outlet that many people are able to take advantage of. So those are some of the things. I think that community building are sort of the keys to our longevity.
That was perfect. That segues into the next question. All the answers were great, but the next question, tonight's theme is about community building. And if you can share some of the things that your organization has done and really contributed towards community building in Reston.
So I'll just start to make it more efficient. We'll keep going back down that way, I guess. So this also touches on how some of these organizations work together. So in December every year, this is in no particular order, but as I'm thinking about it, in December every year we do a Messiah Sing-Along. But at that Messiah Sing-Along we collect warm clothing items, coats, hats, mittens, things like that. And then those are donated to Cornerstones. We also, in May and June, have a drive where we collect items, snacks, help me Susan. Sports equipment, hygiene products that we collect and send to a troop. We're assigned to a unit and overseas, that's deployed overseas, and we collect items through boxes that are positioned throughout Reston, mostly in the town center, but outside of that as well. So if you see a box from Memorial Day through early June, and you have some items like that you want to drop off, please do. There's usually one. Is there one? No. Oh, okay. Maybe we could put one in the community center. Or if you have a business and you'd like to put a box there, let us know. We'll do that too. We also have done the highway cleanup through the Adopt a Highway program. We provide free admission to all of our concerts for active military, veterans, and youth. We also, in the theme of focusing on youth, we also have a youth scholarship program. It's named the Robert E. Simon Youth Scholarship Program, and that is open to all high school and college students. And so they do not pay dues. They come and sing with us. We pay dues. They do not. They have no expense.